long before now. How could it be? It's only when we saw videos of cops or supposed cops being buried in mass graves that this issue became an emergency. Long before now, our youths have been wasting to the synthetic drug called Kush. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my debate would have been different or similar to what other people are saying. Waxing emotional about the Kush and its effect on the young people of this nation. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I sat last night going through the regulations, I had cause to also look at the existing laws which deals with substance abuse in this country, particularly the National Drugs Act of 2008, 29, particularly Section 29, 2C, which my honorable colleague referred to, honorable colleague from the Western area, where it says a state of emergency may be declared by His Excellency, may be proclaimed by His Excellency the President, where it is required to take extraordinary measures. Emphasis is mine on extraordinary measures. Mr. Speaker, it was deliberate that the phrase effective measures was used instead of extraordinary measures. But when you look at the regulations and you look at the National Drugs Act, Mr. Speaker, in fact, I feel two things. Number one, we will be duplicating efforts. And number two, we will be watering down some of the provisions in the National Drugs Act 2008. Mr. Speaker, what is Kush? What is Kush? Kush is a regular word used on the streets. And I remember when we had the meeting with the chief medical officer, and he was describing what this Kush is. It is not one thing. So many concoctions make up this Kush. So the first thing I was looking for is a definition of Kush. It is nowhere to be found, Mr. Speaker. It is necessary for us to define what this Kush is. This is a lacuna or a hole which lawyers will definitely use, defense lawyers, to get their clients off the hook. It is something not out of bad faith that the drafters of this regulation must look at. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is as if this regulation also gives a carte blanche to the people who consume Kush. If I feel, astaghfirullah, that using or consuming Kush is not a crime, then I will do it for my pleasure if I feel so. But in this regulation, the consumption, the use of Kush itself is not made an offense. Why is that so? Under the National Drugs Act, even possession of cannabis sativa, jamba, or other harmful drugs, just possession of it, not even the consumption, you're liable to be convicted for a term not less than 5 years. We have not just to break the chain from the production, but even stop it at the end phase, the end point, which is the consumption stage. Mr. Speaker, if the national drug law has made it an offense to consume Indian hemp, cannabis sativa, why not make the consumption of kush a crime? It must be considered. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, when you look at 2008, Mr. Speaker, even the offense of aiding and abetting, which in this act, section 15, which deals with attempt, conspiracy, and I read, a person who without lawful authority A prepares, extracts, manufactures, produces, or cultivates a prohibited drug, collects, transports, imports, exports, transships, or transmits any prohibited drug, C, supplies, administers, sells, exposes, or offers for sale, or otherwise deals in or with any prohibited drug, commits an offense and is liable on conviction to life imprisonment. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is clear that even the existing law, the extant law, has more stringent measures than the regulations. It does. If for doing this under the national law it says life imprisonment, and the regulations is now given 15 years, it's less. It is less. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me say that I am not against the proclamation of a state of public health emergency. However, there is a specific definition of public health emergency, which I will not go into, because it has legal interpretations, whether this one suits under there or not. But, Mr. Speaker, reference has been made by the leader of government business to section 29, subsection 14, where it says that 12 months must elapse. It is imperative that the proclamation lasts for 12 months. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is my humble opinion that that is not what the law says. And secondly, it is my opinion that a proclamation for 12 months is too long. I will read section 13. A resolution of Parliament passed for the purposes of this section shall remain in force for a period of 12 months, or such shorter term period as may be specified therein. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, to say we cannot reduce the period of proclamation from 12 months to a lesser period is not correct. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is my humble plea, as in section 2910, regulations last for 3 months. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is also my plea that instead of 12 months, that the proclamation also lasts for 90 days, which is possible under the provisions of section 2913 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Finally, when we listen to the head of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, he spoke about how his office is mandated to deal with these sort of incidences in Sierra Leone. However, he complained of lack of funds, lack of manpower, etc., etc. Mr. Speaker, it is also my humble opinion that if we had empowered the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, there might not have been the need for us to set up a similar agency or similar task force to deal with this. Mr. Speaker, be that as it may, we also have to think about the economic situation of this country. Are we not duplicating efforts? It is not as if the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency will be put aside. It is not as if what the task force will be doing will be different from what the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency will be doing. It is my humble opinion, like the Member of Parliament from Western Area said, that since the President in his wisdom, him being the supreme executive authority and the fountain of honor, has said that he proclaimed a state of emergency and a task force will be set up, that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency play a pivotal and a front row role in the fight against this push. And finally, Mr. Speaker, let us find a proper definition for push. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Honorable Veronica, this is it. I would have allowed you, Honorable Lamin, but the leader is on. Yes. Please.
Thank you very much.
Double leader.
It's he for she. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I stand here with a very, very heavy heart as a mother for this menace that we call push. This is a common enemy, and I want to thank His Excellency for bringing up this proclamation, and also thank the honorables from both I to agree for this particular menace, for this particular enemy. It's not today about APC, SLPP, paramount chiefs, or you name it. It's for everybody. So I want to say thanks, special thanks to the leadership and all the members of Parliament for being so proactive to stand for the voiceless, to stand for the people that we are representing. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are talking about push. Let me tell you, the highest rate of consuming kush is done by women, girls. Yes, girls. And you know, these youths, sometimes it is not their fault. Sometimes it's by the peer. Sometimes they just enjoy it. There are so many reasons why they go in for this push. Some they just enjoy it. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it's heart-rending sometimes to see these young boys and girls along the streets with SO2 Penda. It's heart-rending. Sometimes when they pass by you, you will feel like throwing up. But they are our children. Are we going to let them go? No. Are we going to see them struggling like that? No. Are we going to stand up for them? Yes. This is what we are doing right now. Let us fight. Let us come together to make sure we eradicate this ugly situation. We are losing members of parliament. Potential. We are losing presidents. We are losing doctors. We are losing so many people who are coming up. As we are saying, we rely or we hope as we are fast, we will see these young guys coming up. So this is the reason why we should not allow it. Like in the days of the corona, what was heard was to cut the chain, to break the chain. How are we going to break the chain? It's what we are starting now. Well, I heard from my colleague from the other side about the timing. If we say 3 months or 90 days, we'll not even have fixed the structures in place, put the structures in place. We have to make sure we do things correctly. 12 months is just 1 year. Before you think we are in the 6th month of 7th month. So we don't want to be going and coming. I think the 12 months is appropriate. We can put our structures together. We can use every means to make sure we eradicate this situation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, talking about holding centers. Yes, it is good to have holding centers, to rehab them. Are we just going to rehabilitate, to rehab them, then we keep them there, or we leave them to go? What is the next step? Let us be talking about next step. Because SO2, let me say it in Malay, SO2, Yamana. If you are a drunkard, then you say, well, I have forgotten about the drunkenness. If you repeat it again, if you say I'm going to do it, you will do it more than what you've been doing. You go there again. So that is why we shouldn't allow that. We'll make sure we have them. Then we find, I have said it. So we make sure we find somewhere to keep them. Like boarding home, we create a holding center that you train. At the end of the day, you will live there. You yourself will become ashamed to go back to the streets to see the boys. You go back well furnished. You can be a carpenter. You can be a plumber. You can be whatever, a tailor. Then you can do so many things. Instead of running after people, running after vehicles, you go there. If you go to Lonely, if you go to the other areas, please, you go there and see what's going on. It's heart-rending as a mother to see. Sometimes I shed tears. And let me tell you, one day somebody told me that my son has ended the doctorate, everything, but he has just taken up this intake of drugs. Push. I asked the police at one point. I went to Moyamba police station. I said, I want to see this push. Some small thing. When they say they remove human bones, and there are so many things, formalin, Valium 5, all those things. Are they good for human consumption? Do you know the bone of that particular dead body that you are taking? Do you know the type of person? But they don't know. They just go down there and remove the bones, grind it, then they start to smoke. It's very dangerous, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members. So this is why we should come in as one family to fight this cause. I'm talking about the penalty. As for me, 10 months, 12 months is very, very small for the ones that are bringing it. And especially, there should be a punishment for any security force that we see carrying the drugs. Because we rely on them to look or to make sure to protect the lives and properties of the individual. But if you, the security, who ought to know better, then we see you carrying, there should be penalty for that. If people are going for 12 months or 12 years or whatever, they should add to them because they are the most dangerous people. And also they are saying, we have gathered this, we have gathered so much container, we have this. Where are they? Where are these containers? Yeah. Let us start to see these containers. Let it be publicly destroyed. But as you say they have captured this container, the next time you will not see it again. Nobody will say anything about this thing. And it keeps on circulating. This is a syndicate, I see. So in this fight, we have to break the chain. You have to break the chain. Look somebody in his or her own eyes and say, this is not good. Even if it's your brother, your sister, if we are really serious to fight and eradicate this push issue, we have to start from there. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we need to engage these youths. Let's not leave them like that. They are holding centers. After the holding center, let us find some. Now, people are there now preparing to make gains out of this fight. Some genuine ones are here now to make sure they do songs, they go to the stations, to go to the ghettos and do counseling. Some people are there to make gains. They will write concept notes. They will write concept papers that we want to fight this, but it's not genuine. But those people are not genuine. Allah will see you. Because if you are here to say we want to see, we are here to fight, we'll see what Allah will do with you. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, our sisters, brothers, children are out there. They want to come to join us here for this fight because it's serious. Every day, I heard from the drug commissioner who was here the last time when he was saying they carry 20 young boys, 50, give them, it's heart-rending. It's so pathetic. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, if we are really serious for this fight, let us start not only to go to the houses, also the security apparatus. Let us try to make sure in the prisons, let us search the prisoners, let us search the prison officers, let us search the police, let us search all those who are responsible, because sometimes they take these drugs along. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with that, I want to say to my colleagues out there, 12 months is appropriate so that we can put all the modalities together. We can do all the songs. We can find areas that we know the structures are properly placed, and also we'll start the work. We don't want again to go and come say we want to redo it, we want to amend, we want to add. Let us do it once and for all. Let us see what these 12 months can do. And I believe if we are genuine, these 12 months will do something. With that, I want to say thank you. And thanks to the public. The public, you are watchdogs. Let us all fight this cause together. Don't say it's my brother. I'm not to be business, SO2. You have a business. You have a role to play. Our girls are dying. Our boys are dying. Our potential honorable members, ministers are dying. So let us come together to fight this cause. With that, I want to say thank you to everybody who is very, very genuine in this fight. Thank you very much.
Just an observation. I don't know, maybe because I'm late. I have not seen the presence of the Sergeant Police, the Ministry of Health, Social Welfare, because these are the key people. Because I saw somebody from the drug agency is there, but I'm not seeing the people that are of high concern. It's just entering the web now. It's just entering the web because I looked all over before I raised my objection.
But the police officer here.
Just entering the web.
Are you here because of this? I will stand by your writing. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Yes. Let me add to that, Mr. Speaker, please. Today, this morning, we are discussing a very important point. We expect here in this chamber, the Inspector General of Police to come with his police officers, top-ranking police officers. We expecting the drug enforcement agency. It's not only him to come with a barrage of his officers. Because after all, after this bill will be implemented, when it comes to implemented, it's by them. It's not us.
I agree.
Oh yes.
Civil society.
I agree. I totally agree.
Honorable.
In any case, let me hear Honorable Amin.
Honorable
Speaker, colleague members of Parliament. Today is another task for the people of this nation. We are grateful for people who have put the document together, the Attorney General and his team, especially those who raised the issue that we are at this stage. We are also blessed with landed people who have identified some possible lacunas in this instrument that will be amended before we come to that. But let me come to my colleagues who have raised the issue of partners in development as per Section 60 of collective responsibility. Comes back to us whether we informed them or we invited them and that they knew what was happening here today. I believe if we never invited them, it will go back to us to say that we, to some extent, fail our obligation in bringing them on board what we are about to discuss. Honorable Speaker, colleague members of Parliament, we are indeed, as the leader of government Peter said, obligated to these people. These people who are fall short of where they are in taking substance described as goose, cannabis sativa, Panadol or Tramadol, and so on and so forth. They are abusing in our society. It is sad that when medicines are done in the laboratory, produced in the laboratory, and are meant for a particular purpose, and some people are abusing it, using it for other purposes. It is sad. And others are there looking for those windows of opportunity to mass wealth. We have to turn around to blame ourselves to some extent, whether we are really bringing the youth or our workers closer to us. Some authorities, when the gates are open to enter, it is a nightmare for the rest of their workers. They are all running away from them. Do we have time to go closer to them? Do we have time to censor them, to see the substance they take? Just before elections, at the peak of that time when we needed some people, I dismissed some people from my team because of their attitude, because of the substances that we are taking. I wasted no time. I didn't care whether my vote will be decreased or increased, but I knew that certainly that we are going to win. But the team, the representation that they were presenting among the team, that this is not people that we want to reckon with. I mean, we are here to set new directions, so that new direction must be a constructive direction. So it should not be a direction where we have everybody on board to do whatever they do. It is time to jubilate. It is time to dance on the street. It is time to take substances. It is time to drugs people so that they don't know what they are doing. And today, down the line, we are seeing this. Some of these ulcers I have seen here on the photos, I have seen them 20 years ago at Masanga Leprosy Hospital, where you have a very deep ulcers that you take months and sometimes end up with amputation. And sometimes the bone, we only had Dr. Jab of Puja, who was the specialist in that, to manage that. But apart from that, they end up with operating theater, and they have to lose their legs and their arms and so forth. But is that what we want in our society? Is that what we need in our society? If we look at the regulation, clause 4, it says that, which lead, Honorable Speaker, it says a person shall not use, cause, or permit a property to use in the production, transportation, distribution, commercialization of prohibited drugs and substances, including synthetic drugs of kush. Honorable Speaker, we talk about that. It's not only the house, even in the car, even the motorbike. I saw in one of the videos that Paramount checkpoint, somebody was carrying a loaf of bread, and that loaf of bread was not an ordinary loaf of bread. Somebody was carrying an ordinary tire, a wheel of a vehicle, and that was not an ordinary wheel. It was well loaded with drugs. Our eyes, we have to be more smarter than the people who are doing the product. Because the society we live today is really loaded with many things. So therefore, we have to be ahead of them. In other advanced society, they use drones. From one high-riser to another high-riser, they use the drone to transport drugs from one particular flat to another flat. So authorities have to intercept those drones, to bring them down, to see what is the content of the drone, to know all of this. But today we are not to that stage. But we really have to work very hard. And sometimes we look at the behavior of certain people in our society. Those who get easily rich and they display wealth, they drive flashy cars in our society. Where did he go? What job is he doing? What university did he attend? What business is that person doing? Do we question all these things? We leave them as they are, and they go around with a number of jewelries on them, and they show off. They are everywhere. They display wealth that it is very easy to get. But do we question them? Do we invite them to police station to say, what is this? Where did you get that money? Somebody is buying $150,000 car and he's driving 1, 2, 3 cars, costing $500,000, and he said he's driving around. Where did you get the money from? Did you question them? Do we question them? No. They are making money out of people, ignorant people. They are making money. So it is sad to know how we operate in society. And it is sad to see them dying in bits and pieces. But we are obligated to them because they voted for us. If we are here where we are today, we should be cautious of that. And I believe that is why we, as honorable people of this honorable house, we are debating this. We have to question people. In United Kingdom, if you take £50,000, may the Lord forbid, even £2,000 to the bank, they will question you. Where did you get this money? I remember to come back home with a lot of money I have saved over the period. I was questioned. What are you going to do with this money? Where are you going? A lot of questions were raised, you know, and you have to answer it. Of course, I was coming home, so I needed to prepare myself when I come home. So this morning, I was heading to Parliament, and one of our health workers, the CHO, I picked him up. And I said, oh, who are you? He said, you're a health worker. I said, I don't know you. In the 5th Parliament, I never attended the health center here. And I do hope that the 6th Parliament, I'm not going to do it. He said, why? I said, I'm conscious of what I eat. I'm conscious of what I participate in. My acts are very, very sure. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Indeed, I'm very, very sure. So, the head worker said, yes, we know you are from diaspora. But it's not has to do with diaspora. Maybe it has to do with faith element in it as well. But we need to know these things. And we need to know what is happening in our society. And we need to know what we are doing so that these future leaders will be saved. I want to express profound thanks and appreciation to His Excellency, the retired or not retired President Julius Maada for coming up with this, and the Attorney General's office and all colleagues seated here this morning, that we are adding our voices to this, and we make sure that not only add our voices to it. I believe that there is a huge gap between the leaders and the subordinates. Even our homes, like I earlier said, we have to go closer to our workers. Let it don't be a nightmare when we enter our gates, that they see us like a threat, like lions, but we bring them closer to us. We guide them, we sit down with them and talk to them, so that they admire us. We behave as mentors to them. Thank you very much, colleagues, so that we all fight this fight and will bring these millions in our society to an end. And thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Leader.
I'm going to be very short.
Okay. Please proceed. After the leader, Honorable Bangura, Mohammed Bangura.
No, it's coming in his office. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, today I'm very pleased to see all of us coming together to enact a regulation.
Hold on, leader. Honorable members, so that you know, the sergeant at arms is going to change over from the generator to EFSA. So please. Yes, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am very pleased
Honorable Amina.
that His Excellency the President has invoked Section 29 of the Constitution and has done the proclamation for the state of emergency on drugs and substance abuse. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, times. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, for the last 1 year or so, I have stood in this well severally accusing police, accusing different citizens for importing cosmetic drugs to this nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have now seen as a state where these drugs have landed us. The future is going, and if we don't take this one very seriously, we will not have any future in it. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, when I look at the regulations, I want to thank the man from NDLA. He has done so much, Mr. Speaker. He has done so much, even with limited resources or no resources. The police, they have started doing well. Because, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I can say without fear or favor that the police have not lived up to their expectations before now. Because in every community, Mr. Speaker, you go, you see young people taking drugs. And we have police presence in every community of this country, Mr. Speaker. In every chiefdom, Mr. Speaker, from my chiefdom and Bauman chiefdom, there's a police presence in my town. And if you see, 80 or 90% of the young people are taking drugs, especially push. I brought that up here. We invited the police, we invited NRA, we invited NDLA, we invited other institutions. And Mr. Speaker, what the saddest thing is, you see police officers, trained police officers, who should be running after those taking drugs, involving in the intake of these drugs. They are part of the ghettos. They go, they arrest, and before the end of the day, they release these people. They come again. They are always at those ghetto sites. Mr. Speaker, today we have the regulations. If we are going to achieve this regulation, the police should be extremely proactive, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. The police should be extremely proactive. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I also accuse the judiciary. If we are going to achieve this fight, the judiciary should up their game, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. In our last meeting, the police told us we can investigate and we take perpetrators to the court. And the fines that the court levy is unbearable. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, look at this one. If you go to offenses for this act, you notice that we have said 15,000 minimum. That's for the judge or the magistrate to use his or her discretion. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, for most judges, they settle for the lowest level, 15,000 for most judges. But we, as lawmakers, we use that as threshold, taking into cognizance the offense. But when they go to the court system, you see judges, magistrates, settling for the least, and somebody that imports kush or other drugs, and they go to the court system and you find them 50,000 euros, that person will pay happily and leave that place, and will continue in the trade. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have the regulation. If we should achieve this one, thankfully this regulation is brought to us by the Attorney General's office. I would also want to challenge them, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that they should be able to talk to their judges and magistrates. They should not settle for the least. We have other fines. Mr. Speaker, if you go to 15 of this regulation, plus 15, it says, a person who stores, keeps a drug prohibited substance, including a synthetic drug kush, commits an offense and is liable to conviction to imprisonment for a term of not less than 15 years. There is no fine. These are the things we are looking for. You should not just be asking people to go and pay. Like the honorable said, the honorable from both said, people who trade in those drugs, some of them are driving vehicles which are more than $150,000. So they go to the beach, go to Lumley Beach and other beaches. You see young people, these JCs who come from UK and other countries, they are all around doing no business. But these are the people driving the most expensive cars. They drive the latest cars in town. And it is rumored, the social media is even helping us, bringing the names to us that these are the people involved in this trade. You see them driving vehicles that they have no business in driving. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, so for me, if this one should be achieved, it's not just coming to make laws. We have good laws, Mr. Speaker, we have good laws. The regulations that we made for National Drug Law Agency is robust. It's not just making laws, Mr. Speaker. Our business as lawmakers is to make the laws, and we have made fine laws. But if these laws are not interpreted and people punish using these laws, then we are just wasting our time, honorable members. We will do these regulations. If the persons who are responsible to implement these regulations do not implement them, we are wasting our time. So, Mr. Speaker, I am challenging the police. I am challenging NRA because these drugs, they come through our keys. I'm challenging the port authority. All of them, we should work as a team. Because we have done hours as parliament, this is what we are supposed to do. We have raised the knowledge, the Ministry of Information did very well. There was a town hall meeting, Mr. Speaker, which I believe necessitated His Excellency the President to bring to evoke Section 29 of the Constitution. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, if we are going to achieve this, honorable members, the persons who are responsible to implement these regulations should up their game. The police, Mr. Speaker, what is happening? Just a few days ago, like yesterday, we saw on social media prison officers taking push into prison. Prison officers, Mr. Speaker. And it is no secret that even persons who are at the Pademba Road or other prisons, they have access to these drugs. How come, Mr. Speaker? They have access. And we have laws covering that. We are not short of laws, Mr. Speaker. They have just invoked the section in the state of emergency, but we have laws. So if the police, if the prisons, if the judiciary, if we all come together and fight this war, we can achieve it. Yes. But if we come and make laws, we make statements, we begin to make sentimental statements at the end of the day, the police is not ready, the judiciary is not ready, we are wasting our time. So my challenge, Mr. Speaker, my challenge is to the police and to the judiciary. We'll come back in the next 90 days. Others have said 1 year is too much. 90 days is also too much. If we have an effective police and judiciary, we can handle this problem in less than 2 months. It's going to set example. To arrest those who are just do 1 or 2, find them or you jail them, and you see everybody running from the jail. We don't need 1 year, but again, because we don't know how much effort will be made, that is why we want to have 12 months. But again, if we have an effective policy and an effective judiciary, this fight will be handled in less than 2 years. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank you very much. I want to thank the opposition. They have given a lot of support to this bill, to this minutes. We have contributed on debates concerning this one. Thank you very much. This is how we should. But at the end of the day, if the young people are gone, we will not have people dancing for us. We will not have people playing our set during campaigns. And we will not have people wearing our t-shirts. Thank you very much for the support. And the judiciary and police, in the next 90 days, this parliament should also invite the police and the judiciary to give us updates. It's not just passing the law, but they should give us updates on what has been achieved in these 90 days. That's to inform us. It's not just to give 12-month blankets. In the 90 days, we should invite the police, we invite the judiciary and other stakeholders. Let them come and give us updates on what has been achieved, Mr. Speaker. Else we'll be wasting our time and making more laws, and if the implementers are not ready to implement them, we will not go anywhere. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Honorable Mohammed Bangura.
Mr. Speaker, I want to start my debate this morning by thanking the police and the law enforcement agency, especially the drug enforcement agency. I will want, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would want the police and the drug enforcement agency to stand up for applause. We are applauding them for taking this fight very seriously. We have saw where a prison officer attempting to smuggle drugs, and he is arrested by prison officers. We saw that. We also witnessed police officers being arrested and dismissed. So that is the reason why I said we must all applaud their efforts. We all have what Mr. Kaikai said at committee number 1. He is constrained with limited resources, or no resources at all. Yet still, they are working. I am now calling this house. If we are serious, if you are serious enough to fight this menace, we must put more resources to them. More resources. More resources. Mr. Speaker, in civilized world, people who are entrusted to fight this war are empowered. They are empowered. You know why? Because it's a lucrative business. But if we have the officials who are entrusted to fight this war with a very low incentive, how do you expect them to fight? They can compromise easily. That is why I want to see the law enforcement agency, the office of the drug and enforcement agency, let we take care of them. They have to be taken care of. This morning, I want to commend the leadership of this house for their bipartisan approach into this bill. And I want to commend members.
Mr. Speaker, it's 12. I therefore move that SO 52 be suspended for the business of the House to continue.
Mohamedi, SO 52. Mohamedi, no. I have moved. Mohamedi.
Any seconder?
I so second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, if I may continue, I want to commend the leadership of the opposition. I want to commend them. Really, I want to commend them for this bill, for your bipartisan approach. I say this, if you go to social media, a lot of people are bashing us, the opposition. A lot of people are bashing you here, especially the leadership. The leadership.
Mr. Speaker, I had my MP saying I want to thank them, and he's supposed to be one of my players.
The leadership.
I am the one speaking, so I'm exempted. Seriously speaking, if you go on the social media, yesterday the Bennett opposition, bashing you people for passing the state of emergency. But yet still, you defy all of that. You stand here, particularly the
Mr. Speaker, observation, please. Can Honorable Mohammed Danura say where he sits in this house? He cannot be referring to his
Allow him to
is noted. Honorable Mamura be guided.
particularly the leadership.
chicanery and prevarication is not
Proceed.
When the time comes for that, I will address that concern. Mr. Speaker, you know, a few years ago, I'm talking not later than 2012, when I ran for the presidency of this country. At that time, bulk of my supporters are young people. 98% are young people. At that time. Today, you see most of the supporters that rallied behind me, today they are victims. As a matter of fact, my former chairman, today, he's an addict. He's presently at Riyadh. It saddens me. It saddens me. Mr. Speaker, as a man that have the intention once more to run for the presidency of this country, as a man who have the intention of running for the highest seat in this nation, I would like, again, because you know my support base again will be young people. If you see them up the gallery, just tell me. I'm talking about young people. I am talking about young people. You see them up the gallery. They are here today. Because of this debate that we are having. Mr. Speaker. No, don't worry with him. Mr. Speaker, I will want to go into the banking sector. We seen in this house, in this country, as already alluded by my colleagues here, people go to the bank, then make a huge sum of deposits. Every day. And you know what? Nobody asks them questions. Nobody. There must be a red flag. If you go to the bank with money, there must be a red flag. They should alert the law enforcement agency to ask questions. Where are you working? Where this money came from? But as it is, with this bill, it is not there. They only focus on the politician, we. They only focus on us. Mr. Speaker, I would want to see this bill, the minister here this morning, to address why this bill does not have the regulations that have to do with the banking sector. With the banking sector. Mr. Speaker, this issue of drugs is killing our nation. Definitely killing our nation. You see, young people dying every day. Young people are dying every day. For what? For taking drugs. Let us go after the suppliers. The suppliers. The big suppliers. They are there. They are there. There's no names. Every day. They put them up in the social media. Every day. Let us go after them, the law enforcement agency. No matter what, who you are. No matter what. Let us go after them. We don't want to see a press conference here. Alerting suspects or whoever that we are coming. We don't want to see that. How can you call a press conference for a search warrant to execute it before you do that? It's ridiculous, Mr. Speaker. It's laughable. Mr. Speaker, this issue pains me so much.
I know.
When I talk, but I will help. Honorable members, let us pass this bill. For our youth, for our children.
I'm seeing a paramount chief of Honorable Paramount Chief. Yes.
For the paramount chief. Sorry, sir. I want to we are live from here. We are live. SMBC. I want our institution, we want members to have that right on the instruments. So that people can understand that is the way we are passionate about these particular issues. One member to speak every member, as long as they are all based on the stand the others are to speak, just pay attention to that. Allow them to speak, even for 4 minutes. But once today, let us stay long as we can.
But leader, you have to amend the other paper. Amend the other paper. Let's send the other item to the next agenda.
Alright, so please, I think the minister is around.
Yes.
I move to amend the other paper. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, based on the plea with the Speaker and talking about the importance of this particular item we have on the other paper, the public health emergency, I move that item number 5 gets expunged from the other paper. That has to do with the bill, the Industrial Relations and Trade Union Act 2023. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder?
I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Who is the seconder? I so second. All those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The motion to amend the other paper moved by the leader of government business has been carried.
Honorable PC Thomas. But please, before you do, let me at this stage recognize the presence of certain eminent personalities that we have here. starting with Mr. Alpha Sisi, the Deputy Minister of Justice. Please stand for all to see. Again, Mr. Osman Aikanu, the Director of Public Prosecutions. Mr. Andrew Jaya Kakai is the head of the National Drug Law Agency. Assistant Commissioner Musa B. Badamla, Abdullah Palgura, the Deputy Operation Officer, LEA. Mr. James P. Come, is Registrar of the Pharmacy Board. Mr. Mohammed J. Foni is Regional Director, NDLEA. And of course, again, Mr. George Alpha of the AG Youth Empowerment. You are all heartily welcome to the House of Parliament. Yes, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I am Honorable Christian Thomas, Arabic speaks. I am Honorable PC Dr. Sheku Terena Tongos Nayakova.
Honorable Thomas, I think that is the whole sentence. Thank you very much. Proceed.
I am here this afternoon to find a solution to eradicate this dangerous substances called bush. Let us put a stop to all these wild statements. Let us find a solution. We have 190 chiefdoms in this country. And we are here to represent that 190 chiefdoms, the 14 members of parliament. If really this government wants this dangerous substances to be eradicated from this country, we have to empower two sets. One, the PCMP, then the office of Mr. Kakai. I wrote a project. Then I submitted my project to him. Could you imagine, even a single Bashir is not in his office? How this dangerous substances will be eradicated in this country? The man is spending out of his own account. This is bad. Let us not go to the media and try to baffle people. Let us go to reality. And for example, the 190 paramount chiefs they are represented in the Hall of Parliament, 14 paramount chiefs. Capacitate us, empower us so that we live with the other colleague paramount chiefs in the district, chiefdoms, sections, towns, and villages. We are the custodians of the land. Our people listen to us more than you, the other members of parliament. Yes. To be sincere enough, right? We have bylaws. We follow the bylaws. They listen the bylaws. Is that any mistake? That's a problem for you. Right? Empower the PCMP. Capacitate them so that we meet with other paramount chiefs. We meet with section chiefs, chiefdom speakers, town chief, villagers, youth leaders. Engage them, sensitize them about the schools, especially my chiefdoms. We don't have radio. SKPS is not in the chiefdom Kubula. Radio Shalom is not in the chiefdom. I thank God. We bless the Kono people. We have radio for them. So next time, I want to ask the president to join me to Kodom instead of Salama or Benin. Because they are supplying us everything from Kodom. So my submission on my advice this afternoon to put a stop to all these right statements, to encourage, to capacitate, to empower the PCMP so that this, not the national stop here. Because you have radio, I will not see anything going forward. Just involve the paramount chief. I'm here to represent my people. So therefore, my Mr. Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, this is my submission this afternoon.
Honorable members, we have to agree on the time. If everybody standing up is to have the fight, then we have to agree. And we say 5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, yeah? 3 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I'm going to be extremely strict with time. Honorable Yoke Kamara, you were supposed to talk, but the leader is up. So after the leader, you will debate.
My darling, please. I have to go to the Ministry of Lands for all the issues. Mr. Speaker, I am a happy man today. Well, it's not a bad day actually. Although my deputy leader too is celebrating his birthday today. Honorable Aaron, I will have to remind celebrating his birthday today. Mr. Speaker, as honorable members of Parliament, when we stand in this world to talk on issues affecting our people, we are not using these situations to catch cruise, not to add our popularity, but again, we use this opportunity to address issues that affect us and generations yet unborn. I remember talking about push for the first time in this world, and I did the second time, and until I reported the death of 7 young people at Mambela, that was when honorable members knew it was serious. We are here today looking at the regulations. But one thing that we should be serious about is, unlike other drugs, Kush is the only drug in Sierra Leone that has entered almost every village. And the devastating aspect of Kush is that when you look at the willingness of the ordinary citizens in combating Kush, they have taken steps ahead of us as leaders almost 6 months before these regulations. And that takes me to the point of saying, as leaders, we need to be proactive. We need to, our response time to issues affecting our people needs to be geared up. Can you imagine we are talking about Kush today and making regulations for Kush when actually Kush started way back in 2019? We are here today discussing Kush when in actual sense, if you talk to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, they will tell you about other emerging drugs. Like Gladi. You ask the right question. We now have Gladi all over the place. Ecstasy. When you hear their names, it makes you laugh. But the effect of these drugs is killing the youths of this country. I want to thank the Committee on Human Rights. When we started this campaign going around institution to institution, you know, we are confirming the figures we had. We are confirming the effect of push at the time. We went to Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Behold, the very day we reached the office, out of the 14 member staff, they had 2 resigned on that very day. Why? Imagine you have a drug law enforcement agency in this country, all they have is 14 manpower staff. And you have 16 districts. So even if they are liaising with the police and they are supposed to report on a weekly basis on the issues around drugs in this country, 14 people cannot do that. And as we speak, 2 resign. And when you enter the office, Mr. Speaker, even the building and the way you see the staff, you know they are demotivated. But I don't want to say poverty. You know, I remember we called the help to come to Parliament, and we wanted him to come. For one thing that frustrated us to go to his office was, we wanted him to come with all his members of staff, and he told us, even a bicycle you don't have. It is frustrating. And the people affected by this substance are young people within the age of 16 and 35. The very age bracket we make good policies for. The very age bracket we spend our national resources for. The people who are going to represent us after we left these beautiful seats. And interestingly, you think they are just begetting youth. When you go to Unimark, 16 students in law classes were asked out of the university because of push. You go to private college, students who are meant to graduate in their final classes are today being washed away by push. It is frustrating. It is frustrating. So meaning, we are spending our resources as a nation on a situation and on a group of people actually that are abusing, diverted by something else. I want to call on this house that be them whatever. I am sure if we will have spent up our time in response, some of the people who are today bathing in wealth as a result of Kush would have not exploited or exchanged the lives of young people for their own financial power. And you know what? They could be the next speakers and members of parliament if we had saved their lives. We need to respond to the needs of our people. When Mwabangwa was debating, he pointed his hands to the gallery that all of the honored Mwabangwa. You know, so if you frustrate them now,
thank you for mobilizing them.
Thank you for bringing them. Unfortunately, they were invited by the deputy speaker.
Thank you
not myself.
And you did the mobilization.
You know, I enjoyed that role when I was at the back seat. Today, I will not respond to you. So we are saying, let's respond to national issues that affect our young people, and we must do so. We only have 1 billion as a budgetary allocation. Imagine what that can do. So we are here today. We just don't want to pass this law, Mr. Speaker. But we want also at the local level for us to have a total involvement of everybody on both sides of the political divide. As a party, I want to say, together with my members of parliament here, that we are more than willing to participate fully in the implementations of these rules. We've started it already, we've gone to schools, we've engaged communities, and we will not stop at any level. 90 days is enough to combat push if we have the political will. I am sure when I called on the president to address this nation on Kush, ever since he did so, most people who thought Kush was a business have abandoned it because they've seen the seriousness in the fight against Kush. So I call on all members of parliament here present to not just vote in, not just approve, not just support, but beyond the well. I want to see possible photos and videos of how we go to engage our people. It's not just the laws. If I want one active thing you do always to make a drug popular is to ban it. So now we are passing the law, we are putting stringent measures, we're making it more expensive, and it will be difficult to even know where it is. And that is how, as members of parliament, we need to engage our people. Our people have seen the effect. It's just a matter of us engaging them now to see how best they will contribute to making this whole situation a no-go here. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, today is a very important day. Today is a day that will save the future for the youth. Today is a day that we collectively will also destroy the future of the youth. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to borrow the words of Obate. This is a big problem business. Let's go to Obate is a comedian but also an entertainer from the north. Sometimes people will take his words as saying it's fun. But also to this is a big problem business. You know, we are making fun out of this, but it is true. It's a very big problem for our children. As a woman, we and a mother, we are the first potential victims indirectly, because the thing they call push is affecting our children. It's affecting our brothers. It's affecting our sisters. Can we just rely on talking? No. We should now talk the walk. Even before this proclamation, some of us have started engaging our communities. And if we want this push thing to end, we have to make the community as a priority. Because it is in the community we have those that aid and abet. It is in the community we have poor people who normally gain from these push people. For example, Mr. Speaker, if I'm a dealer in push and I live in a very poor community, I buy all those people in the community. How do I do it? I'll give money to people in the community. I'll do them extraordinary gifts. I'll give them extraordinary gifts. At the end of the day, when they come to read or find out about me, these community people will contribute to give me information and I will run away. So, if we want to fight push, in as much as we are going according to what the law said, but we have to deal with the community people. And these community people are the people we represent in parliament. I started it. When I went to Komo last week, what I did, in all of my meetings, they are not purely meant to talk about push. But whenever I'm making my statements, I end up talking to the women and men in that meeting. And let me tell you one thing, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Now, in most meetings, you hardly see young people in these meetings. You see either women, mostly women, and old men. The young people are all sleeping during the day. When you are expecting them to be awake and listen to what you have to say. Let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the workforce is going down the drain. The young people are the engine of development in our country. If they are being destroyed and going down the drain, what is the future of our country? I'm the chair of the Committee of Labor, Employment and Social Security. Now, one of the dream of our president is to create 500,000 jobs. And these 500,000 jobs is for young people. It's not for old men and women. Let me say the jobs are here. Where are the young women and men? Where are they? And now, what has even compounded the problem, which I call the problem business, is that most of our young people now have been left out to sit the WAT exam. What do you expect? Some will be frustrated and they will be misled by some of their young colleagues to go and take push. But I'm talking to the young people who are seated up here. Please don't be frustrated to that extent. Because if you are frustrated to that extent, you will be spoiling your own future. You will be spoiling your own future. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the issue of push, we are just here to make the laws. But we as honorable members of parliament, with or without money, let us use every trip we go to our constituencies or our communities to engage the community, to engage the families, if possible, family heads, to talk to young people. The other thing I want to talk about, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the issue of arresting these victims of push. Yes, it's good to arrest them. But let me tell you what has happened now. For example, the Kono District Correctional Center is full overmanned. Even the police cells are full overmanned. So what is the problem now? If the supply given to the correctional center is for 200 inmates, now you have over 200 inmates, what happens? That supply runs dry. And these people will starve. And they also have a human right. We have a human right to protect. In as much as we don't have centers, rehabilitation centers now, that is one of the things we have to think of first. Once we are setting up the structures to cut down on the push and also track those that are selling the push, let us think of building these centers first. The reason being, if we have these centers, if these push guys are arrested, I mean the ones, the victims, are arrested, you take these people to these rehab centers in the different districts. And if possible, some of us that are talking in the communities, we can go to them. We talk to them. I believe if they are there for 1-2 weeks, like somebody, one honorable member was saying, if this rehabilitation center is being set up also as a skills training center, after leaving that rehab center, they will have skills that they will use outside. But without that, even go to the Pademba Road. Some people don't even go to land skills, they are just there. But if you want to learn skills at the correctional center, you will learn. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in as much as we want to put together this document to regulate this issue of push, which I still support Honorable Timbo, that does not have meaning because push is just like a slang. So I will ask those that really put this document together to define what is push, the medical name. Because let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, some of these dealers that might fall into the hands of the law enforcement and arrested, and they go to court, they will use that to say, we were not caught with push. Yes, they will take the best lawyers to defend them, that we don't have any substance called push. So at the end of the day, they will be free, because law is law. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will ask that the name push be defined properly, so that once this document gets out of there, because push is not only in Sierra Leone, push is in Guinea, push is in Liberia, different all over the world. Go to America, push is there.
We need the medical name.
But we need a proper meaning and name for push. On this note, Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage all honorable members that we are indirectly suffering as parents in the community, not representative of the people, but parents, because these guys out there suffering are our children. Let us please take this as a very serious business. Go out there, talk to our family people, talk to family heads. Not only the chiefs, I agree with you that you talk to the people listen to you. But we as politicians and also family people, because as long as you are an honorable member of parliament in your family, immediately you call a family meeting, they will come. You also have to engage people, talk to them, talk to the young people, so that we build the next future. So that whilst I'm leaving parliament after my 4th term, I will have somebody coming to position. On this note, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you all for taking part in this meeting.
Thank you very much. I think you really wish to truly retire. Properly so called. Can we stick to the 5 minutes, please?
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to preface my contribution to this debate with my personal appreciation of the discrimination shown by the entire membership of this. A menace is not just push, which is actually firming up its grip on the society, especially the youth, who are the potential future leaders of this country. Mr. Speaker, I must also thank the executive through the indefatigable Minister, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and his magnificent, the competent staff at the Law Officers Department for actually effectuating what is essentially a legislative initiative, which is the proclamation. It came from us. So I thank the Minister and his team for doing a very good job. Mr. Speaker, the invocation of Section 29 of our Constitution is opposite, and it couldn't have come at a better time, Mr. Speaker. And we all of us, to hold ourselves ready, willing, and able to support the government and the law enforcement officers who are specified in the regulations in everything they do in order to bring this menace under control. It is something, if we don't do anything about it, the deleterious consequences of it can impact all of us negatively. So we are all in this together. Mr. Speaker, before I end, I just want to make a comment on one or two things, which are first about the definition of push. Mr. Speaker, we do not need to define push. You see, the difficulty about definition is that it then becomes subject to all sorts of eccentric and esoteric interpretations. You limit to, it's a matter of evidence. Whether somebody is under the influence of kush or other soporific substance or prohibited substance is a matter of evidence. So it's not something you really need to define because you open the Pandora's box for lawyers like Timbo and Honorable Speaker himself. He's still a lawyer. Then the penalties. I hear my honorable members bemoaning the paucity of the penalty exacted for committing any of the rules. The difficulty of tying the hands of judges is that you remove from them the discretion to impose penalties that fit the crime. I mean, the financial penalty is not less than 15 years. Not less than 15,000 euros. That gives the judge the discretion to look at the circumstances, the seriousness of the particular offense, and even maybe impose a fine of 200 million or 1 billion. But if you tie his hands, then you prevent him from exercising that discretion. So that it's a big fish is brought before the judge, and the judge is clear in his mind that this big fish needs to be, more severe penalty needs to be exacted on this big fish. He cannot do it because his hands are tied. So, Mr. Speaker, to end, there was another issue which was brought up by my honorable friend, Mr. Mohammed Bangura, about the banks. If he reads the Anti-Money Laundering and the Combating of Financing of Terrorism Act, all those matters have been captured there. The banks and all financial institutions, even the, MoneyGram, all those are now subject to stringent requirements. They need to carry out certain checks before they conduct any transaction with individuals. So that is adequately taken care of. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Honorable Quintin Kone. After Honorable Quintin Kone, the Paramount Chief. Please, 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. To start with, I must confess, this is one of the most important documents we are discussing as a house. And to start with, I must toe the line of Honorable Timbo when he said that the substantive act has stringent actions more than the regulation provided for us. And I believe if we must succeed to actually eradicate this aspect of kush amongst young people, then I believe we must go beyond what is presented to us in this document. Because my debate is actually going to focus on the sustainability aspect of this document we are about to enact into a law. Because for many a time we make laws, but these laws stay on the shelves, gathering dust, and they are not implemented. If we listen to the statements made by Honorable Timbo, he said for such actions or for such violations on drug substance, the penalty is about life imprisonment, which is a very stringent one. But when you look at the regulation and we look at the atrocities committed by this kush stuff, I believe the atrocities committed by kush far way outweighs any other drug that we have experienced as a nation. And the more reason I believe, as a country, if we want to show that we are serious about this kush, then we must put penalties that should stop people at that point and not like encouraging them to continue. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, now if you look at the chamber, I must confess, Mr. Kaikai is a very proactive man, but him alone and his agency are not adequate to handle this stuff. And the more reason why Honorable Catherine said we need the heads of this the related institutions to be here. We need the ministers. We need the Inspector General of Police, because one thing we suffer from as a nation is information rollout after we gather information. I will tell you for free, after this information, for most people who are here to listen, on behalf of their bosses, I'm not going to relay what we are going to discuss here. And the more reason I believe the policy heads should be the ones to attend. So thereafter, they are able to put actions in place so that we are able to move forward. But if that is not the case, whosoever is going to report is going to dilute the mere essence. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you agree with me that, for most of the times, we don't really debate. And if we must succeed, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I believe we must go beyond this debate. How do we ensure that even the last man in the last village knows that we have passed a law that is going to be effective from this day? The young people are going down. Then as a nation, we are also failing. Because after all, this is the very first time from the 5th Parliament to the 6th Parliament where you have majority of young people in this Parliament. When we are coming up as young people, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, all you could find in this chamber, we are aged people. Now we have young people in this chamber. And the more reason we must be able to sustain this action of having more young people in this chamber. And the only way we can do that is when we preserve, we take our young people to be the assets of this country. But if this whole aspect of push is bringing our young people down, then we must be steadfast to ensure that whatever actions we are going to take here today, we follow it right through. Those people who are charged with the responsibility and who contradict their mandate, like everybody's been saying, the police is very good, and I appreciate the leadership of the current police. Most of the police officers are up to their task. But let me hasten to tell the Inspector General of Police that in every situation there are deviants. And let him know that their officers, instead of implementing the rules of engagement, they contradict and they become the perpetrators themselves. So he must be able to put stringent measures to follow up on such officers. Because it is only when we have the police officers up to their task that we'll be able to succeed. For now, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are here as honorable members. We are making the laws. We are going to send the laws out there. We try our level best to engage our constituencies. We try as much as possible to engage our young people. But the enforcers of what we make here are the police officers. And so I believe this is not a straight fight between the police and the people, between us and the push intakers. It's a fight for everyone. And the more reason I was expecting civil society, because they are always there to support the efforts of every government. I was expecting the civil society people to have been present here, even the military. Because what I see happening now with regards to the Kush situation is slowly becoming a pandemic. It's slowly becoming a pandemic. And this is the very first time we are seeing drug abuse, taking control of nations. Even though people know the implications, they see their colleagues suffering from SO2 pendas. Yeah? But yet, they still go ahead to take. What is propelling them towards the intake, we don't know. So the more reason, in terms of penalties, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I believe for those who produce it must suffer the greatest punishment.
Thank you very much.
Those who distribute must suffer the next. And the intakers, I will not say they should go unpunished. Because it is written in the laws that drug intakers must be punished. So for whatever magnitude, being the fact that you take drugs, you must be punished at a very minimal rate. But the highest punishment must go to the producers and distributors.
Thank you. Honorable. Honorable Paramount Chief. After the Honorable Paramount Chief, Honorable Barry.